It's hard to have first impressions in this year, such an unusual year. What are some of your all's first impressions of Columbus and the Ohio State University in Ohio?
Well, I really haven't spent much time in Ohio over my academic career. I've been here a few times, given a few talks, visited my dear friend Gordon Gee when he was president, both times. So that's been fun. In fact, the last time he was here, we were in his former office, now my office, and he was in one chair, I was in the other, so we switched. So it was kind of
That's
fun. Loved getting to know the students, the faculty and the staff, the administrators. I mean, everybody is just out to be excellent and do the best they can. So that's pretty inspiring. Yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible 6 months. It's been challenging. And some of the challenges are to arrive on a campus as a first-time president with the pandemic that we haven't seen in 100 years. Was something that was all-consuming, and still is, but we've made great strides. I just want to give you an update. Our on-campus positivity rate is less than 0.2%.
Yeah, amazing.
So it's really, hats off to all the students, faculty, and staff that are really, staying socially distant and continuing to, do the non-pharmaceutical interventions that got us here.
In addition to COVID, tell us about some of the other ways you're focusing on these big issues that are facing not only our community, but candidly our country.
Yeah. Well, as you said, we're facing some unprecedented challenges. Coming to grips with racism and systemic racism, and doing more than recognizing it, but contributing every day to creating an anti-racist society, which is really what we're bringing together. And we're doing it in a couple ways. One is through our task force on racism and racial inequities. In our task force on community and safety well-being. I mean, these are two things where we're getting together some of the great minds at Ohio State and coming up with, I just received recommendations from our task force on racism and racial inequities. And I plan to announce a few of the things we are going to do about that next week at my first State of the University address. So very excited about that. I spend every Friday from 1 to 2:30 with the task force, and it's really been very eye-opening and very good. So that's one thing. Our students want to be back in the classroom. Yeah. We want to be back in the classroom with them. And so really working daily on making that happen. And students, just like ourselves, want to be with others, and they want to be together. And so this Friday, we will be looking at allowing events and gatherings for less than 10 students, still keeping with the state guidelines there. So I think that we'll continue to build on the momentum that we've done keeping our students safe. And, one of the things that's so special about The Ohio State University, of course, is its land grant status. So trying to define and envision what that land grant university in the 21st century shall be. And clearly, we have the opportunity to define that because of our size, scope, and scale. We have everything. We have 7 health sciences colleges. We have, of course, a great liberal arts, engineering, business. Now I've started to mention them. If I don't mention all 15, I'll be in trouble. So wait till next week, where I will. We can do it all. And so here's, to me, the exciting thing about The Ohio State University. It was built to allow people from ordinary backgrounds to do extraordinary things. And that was my grandfather. My grandfather grew up on a farm here. He came here to Ohio State when there were 770 students. We have almost 100 times that today.
What do you think the community needs to be doing, and what advice might you bring to civic and business leaders that are watching in terms of, if not a critical eye, a discerning eye that says, what can Columbus and Ohio be doing to better leverage, my sort of favorite word, the university?
Well, thank you for that question, because it's interesting. The company that I started after I left the Department of Energy as undersecretary was a hydropower company, and we actually had clients in Ohio. And there was a particular plant that I always wanted to buy and upgrade and modernize a bit. So the company called me, the new CEO said, well, we finally closed on that plant, which is not too far away. And I said, that's great. Will you take interns from Ohio State? Will you take interns from our mechanical engineering, electrical engineering department, or sustainability? I got back one word, absolutely. So I didn't have it wasn't a big company. It was distributed throughout, 10 states. But we had a ratio of about 10% interns every summer to the total number of employees that we had. We had double-digit interns, and we had them all at corporate, and they all did great projects, and that informed their future, their career, gave us a chance to see some of the new talent coming out and do some innovative things, and it gave the opportunity for the students to transition between work in the classrooms and work at work. So I think that's the one thing that we could really use help with, is having our corporate partners really think about internships and co-ops at scale, because I'd love to give any student that has a particular interest the opportunity to get out into the real world and learn what it's like to be part of a workforce.
And I think it's an appropriate call out to look for those places where we can engage and give the students a unique opportunity. Because when we do, they're more likely to want to stay here. When they stay here, they're more likely to want to grow a family and grow this economy in the way that we want to.
You know, and that's a really good point. If I could just follow on with that for a minute, Alex, because when we were on the partnership call, there were some of the leaders were talking about that they are adding, 20, 50 employees a week. And being able to be that engine that helps the company scale up is what we want to be. So that means engaging early so that we can get the students into those experiences, but also develop the curriculum, the certificates, the other sort of opportunities to educate students coming out, but also educate the workforce that we have programs with, for example, J.P. Morgan Chase, where we're doing data analytics, and we're teaching a data analytics certificate for a group or a cohort. That's another way that we can add value, and that's what we want to do. We want to add value to the community. It's such a fabulous community.